Has a way of weaving biblical truth into our everyday lives, and he knows that truth matters this election season. And he says there is grace in the midst of drought, war, crime, and even economic decline. And he joins us from Nashville, a place that I consider my second hometown this morning. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Tessa. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for being with us. Grace is sometimes referred to as your life message. It's unmerited favor of God. Do you feel that's accurate, and if so, why?
Well, I'm still stunned by grace, I'll tell you that. Grace is just the word that the Bible uses to describe God's radical and relentless commitment to love people and to rescue people. It's just the most surprising and stunning attribute, I think, of all the different characteristics of God. And so I think if I were to major in anything, I'd want to major in the topic of grace.
Well, grace can also be viewed as just another churchy term. When you hear, you've got God's grace, people kind of either tune in or tune out. But how do you seek to make grace much, much more personal and more life-altering?
Well, you're right. The grace is such a, we talk about saying grace at a meal, or we name our daughter Grace. Some hospitals are called Grace Hospitals. So it's a shop-worn word. But in the Bible, grace is that word that describes God's commitment to rescue people. And it's more than just kindness, and it's more than just, a fatherly affection, but it's really a radical commitment in which He does whatever is necessary to pull people close to Him, to prepare people for eternal life. And so grace is a strong word in the Scriptures. It does have that element of kindness, but it has a strong feeling of redemption. And I'm not sure that many people quite get grace. I think we've settled for a wimpy grace, that it's something that we can contain, and something that we can package. But there's a grace in the Bible that's more like a tidal wave. And once it begins to soak you up, it'll change you from the inside out.
Absolutely. Now, do you feel as a society as a whole we're quick to give grace?
We're desperately in need of receiving grace so that we can get it. We live in a really antagonistic, fearful time. People are afraid to trust others, and they have a very difficult time trusting others. And I believe that this is as a result of not receiving grace. You can't give what you don't receive. Mm-hmm. It's hard to forgive somebody if you've never been forgiven. It's hard to love somebody if you're not genuinely loved. In fact, that's really a fundamental principle of the Bible. The verse in the Bible that says we love because we were first loved. And so really you receive grace, and then you can become a grace giver. And I think our society, especially during an election year, boy, we can just get cantankerous, contentious, tacky behavior. And so I think we could use a good dose of grace.
I absolutely agree with you. And right quick before we close out, can you tell us about your prayer initiative starting later this month?
Well, on September the 28th, we're calling people to pray for 40 consecutive days for the United States of America. During election year, as you know, elections are petri dishes for controversy and cynicism. And yet there's so much at stake, so much at stake. The economy, international concerns, just so many huge decisions that are on the forefront. So we're calling people to just simply pray for the USA for 40 days. USA, unite us, strengthen us, anoint and appoint our next president. This isn't a political prayer, it's not a partisan prayer, but I believe it's a powerful prayer if we'll all pray together that we can trust God to guide us and to lead us during this important election cycle.
Max, an awesome initiative. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Tessa. It's my privilege.
We'll be right back with more Low Country Live.